The bass from the club still thrummed in my ears as we stumbled into my apartment, laughing about something I'd already forgotten. Nate's hand was warm in mine, our fingers interlaced like they'd been doing this for years instead of just tonight. "Your place is nice," he said, looking around with genuine interest. "Way cleaner than I expected for a guy living alone." "What, you thought I'd have pizza boxes everywhere and dishes in the sink?" "Maybe." He grinned, that crooked smile that had first caught my attention 3 hours ago across a crowded dance floor. "Most guys I know are slobs." "Well, I'm not most guys." "No," he said, his voice dropping an octave as he stepped closer. "You're really not." The air between us shifted, charged with the same electricity that had been building all night. We'd danced, we'd talked, we'd shared drinks and stories, and the kind of easy connection that felt rare and precious. When last call came, neither of us wanted the night to end. "Come back to mine?" I'd asked, heart in my throat. "Yeah," he'd said without hesitation. "Yeah, I'd like that." Now, in the dim light of my living room, he was looking at me like I was something worth having, and my pulse kicked up several notches. "Can I kiss you?" I asked. "You better," he said. So I did. It started gentle, a soft press of lips, testing, tasting. But then his hands were in my hair, and mine were gripping his hips, and gentle went out the window. We kissed like we were starving for it, like we'd been waiting for this moment all night. Maybe all our lives. We made it to my bedroom somehow, shedding clothes along the way, leaving a trail from the living room to my bed. Every touch felt electric, every kiss deeper than the last. His skin was warm under my hands, his breath hot against my neck. "You're incredible," he whispered as we fell onto the bed together. "So are you." I managed, then lost the ability to form coherent words as his mouth found that sensitive spot behind my ear. Time became meaningless. There was only sensation, the slide of skin on skin, the taste of him, the way he said my name like a prayer. We explored each other with hands and lips, learning what made the other gasp and arch and beg for more. When we finally collapsed together, sweaty and breathless and sated, I felt like every cliché I'd ever rolled my eyes at. Fireworks. Magic. Connection. All of it real and overwhelming and perfect. I rolled onto my side to look at him. His dark hair was a mess, his lips swollen from kissing, and he looked absolutely beautiful in the scattered moonlight coming through my window. I started, not sure how to finish. "Yeah," he agreed, understanding anyway. It really was. We lay there in comfortable silence, and I let myself imagine a future. Morning coffee. Lazy Sundays. Getting to know each other beyond this one perfect night. Maybe even something real. Then Nate sat up abruptly, swinging his legs over the side of the bed. "I should go," he said, reaching for his boxers. My stomach dropped. "Oh, okay. I can call you a ride." "No, it's fine. I'll manage." He was pulling on his jeans now, movements quick and efficient. Practiced. I sat up, pulling the sheet around my waist, suddenly feeling exposed. Did I do something wrong? "What?" "No." He paused, finally looking at me. "This was great. Really. You were great. But..." He ran a hand through his hair, and I could see him building walls in real time, shutting down the warmth that had been there just minutes ago. "But this ain't real. You know that, right?" The words hit me like a slap. "What do you mean?" "I mean this." He gestured vaguely between us. "Tonight. It was fun. Hot. But it doesn't mean anything. We're just two guys who met at a club and hooked up. That's all this is." I felt something crack in my chest. "That's all you think this was? What else would it be?" His voice was defensive now, like I'd accused him of something. "We don't even know each other. We talked for 2 hours before we even kissed," I protested. "You told me about your job, your friends, that trip to Costa Rica you're planning. I told you about." "Bar talk," he interrupted. "People say all kinds of things when they're drinking, and the music's loud, and someone's paying attention to them. I wasn't that drunk. Were you?" "No." He found his shirt, pulled it on. "Look, you seem like a nice guy. This was a good night. But I don't do this." He waved his hand again, that same dismissive gesture. "Relationships. Feelings. Morning afters. That's not who I am. Then why come home with me at all?" He looked at me like it was a stupid question. "Because you're hot and I wanted you. And you clearly wanted me too. That's enough." "Is it?" Something flickered across his face. Doubt, maybe, or regret, but it was gone before I could name it. Yeah, he said firmly. It is. He was fully dressed now, checking his pockets for his phone and wallet. I should let him go. Should accept what he was saying and move on. It was just one night. I'd had one-night stands before. This shouldn't feel different. But it did feel different. Something about the way we'd connected, the ease of our conversation, the way he'd looked at me when he thought I wasn't paying attention, like I was something precious. Or maybe I'd just imagined all of it. Well, I said, trying to keep my voice level. Thanks for being honest, I guess. He nodded, heading for the bedroom door. Then he stopped, hand on the frame. For what it's worth, he said quietly, not looking at me, if I were the kind of guy who did this, who did relationships, I'd want it to be with someone like you. Before I could respond, he was gone. I heard the front door open and close, and then silence. I sat there in my bed, staring at the space where he'd been, and felt profoundly stupid. Of course it didn't mean anything. Of course I'd read too much into chemistry and good conversation and amazing sex. This was how things worked now. Connections without commitment, pleasure without promises. I lay back down, pulling the pillow that still smelled like him closer, and tried to convince myself I was fine. That this didn't hurt. That I hadn't just met someone who felt like they could matter and watched them walk away. I was almost successful. Then I heard it, a sound from my living room. I sat up, heart pounding. Had he come back? Or worse, was someone else in my apartment? Grabbing my boxers, I crept to the bedroom door and peered out. Nate stood by my front door, forehead pressed against it, one hand flat against the wood like he was holding himself up. Nate! He jumped, spinning around. In the better light of the living room, I could see his face clearly, the conflict written across every feature, the way his jaw was clenched tight. I can't do this, he said. Can't do what? Leave. The word came out rough, almost angry. I got to the door and I can't make myself walk through it. Hope flared in my chest, dangerous and bright. So don't. You don't understand. I meant what I said. I don't do this. I don't do morning coffee and getting to know you dates and meeting each other's friends. I don't do real, because real gets messy. Real means expectations and disappointment, and eventually someone gets hurt. It's easier to keep things simple. One night, no promises, no complications. I moved closer, watching his face. Easier isn't always better. Maybe not. But it's safer. Safer for who? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. For me. For everyone. I'm not good at this, okay? I'm the guy people have fun with, not the guy they keep around. I learned that a long time ago. Who taught you that? He looked away, but not before I saw the pain flash across his face. Does it matter? Yeah, it really does. I took another step closer. Because whoever it was, they were wrong. You don't know me well enough to say that. Maybe not. But I know that you spent 2 hours talking to me when you could have been dancing. I know you asked about my work like you actually cared about the answer. I know you laughed at my terrible jokes and told me about your niece's birthday party and how you're scared of flying, but you're going to Costa Rica anyway because your best friend is getting married there. I was close enough to touch him now, but I kept my hands at my sides. I know that felt real. To me. Did it feel real to you? His throat worked as he swallowed. Yes, he whispered. And that's exactly why I need to leave. Because it did feel real, and I'm going to fuck it up. That's what I do. I get close to someone, they start to care about me, and then I do something stupid and ruin it, and everyone ends up wishing they'd never met me. What if you don't fuck it up this time? I will. It's inevitable. Nothing's inevitable, I said. Except maybe how I'm going to feel if you walk out that door right now. Which is terrible. And regretful. And like I let something important slip away without even fighting for it. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw all his defenses crumbling in real time. I'm a mess, he said. I have commitment issues, and I overthink everything, and I'm terrible at communication. My last boyfriend said I was emotionally unavailable. The one before that said I was exhausting. I'm not a good bet. Good thing I'm not looking for a bet. I'm looking for... I paused, considering. Actually, I don't know what I'm looking for. I just know that tonight, I met someone who made me laugh and think and feel things I haven't felt in a long time. And when he said it didn't mean anything, it felt like a lie. Not just to me, but to him too. It was a lie, Nate admitted, his voice breaking. It meant something. It means something. You mean something. And that terrifies me. I'm terrified too, I confessed. I haven't let myself really fall for anyone in years. It's easier to keep things casual, to not risk getting hurt. But easy isn't always right. We stood there, 2 feet apart, but it might as well have been miles. Both of us scared and vulnerable and desperate for something we weren't sure we deserved. What if we try anyway? I asked. What if we're both terrified and messy and bad at this, but we try anyway? And when I inevitably self-sabotage, then we talk about it. We work through it. We figure it out together. Together, he repeated, like it was a foreign concept. Yeah, together. That's kind of how relationships work. I don't know how to do that. Neither do I really. We can figure it out as we go. He stared at me for a long moment, and I could see him warring with himself. Want versus fear, hope versus history. I'm probably going to be a disaster, he warned. Probably, I agreed. And I'm going to have moments where I'm clingy or distant or say the wrong thing. We're both going to mess up. So why bother? Because, I said, finally closing the distance between us and taking his hand, this might be real. And real is worth the risk. His fingers tightened around mine. You really believe that? I'm starting to. He laughed, shaky but genuine. You're either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Can it be both? Yeah, he said, and his smile was tentative but there. Yeah, I guess it can. So what do you say? Want to stay? See what happens in the morning. He looked at our joined hands, then back at my face. What happens in the morning? I make us breakfast. We drink coffee. We talk. We take this one moment at a time and see where it goes. Just like that. Just like that. He was quiet for so long I thought he might bolt again. Then he nodded, almost imperceptibly. Okay, he whispered. Okay, I'll stay. The relief that washed over me was almost overwhelming. Yeah, but I'm probably going to panic at least 3 more times before sunrise. That's fine. I'll be here when you do. He pulled me closer, wrapping his arms around me, and buried his face in my neck. Why are you being so patient with me? Because you're worth it, I said simply. And because I think maybe we both deserve a chance at something real. Even if it's scary. Especially because it's scary, he murmured against my skin. We stood like that for a long time, just holding each other, and I felt something settle in my chest. This wasn't the easy, uncomplicated hookup either of us had planned for. This was messy and uncertain and required actual courage. But it was also real. Finally, undeniably real. Come back to bed? I asked eventually. To sleep? To sleep. To talk. To figure out what breakfast you like. Whatever you want. What if I want to kiss you again? Then definitely do that. He pulled back to look at me, and his smile was more genuine now, less guarded. You make it sound so simple. Maybe it is. Maybe we've been making it complicated. Maybe, he agreed and kissed me. It was different from earlier, slower, softer, but somehow more intense. This kiss was a promise, a beginning, a choice to stay instead of run. When we pulled apart, we were both smiling. So, he said, pancakes or waffles? What? For breakfast. You said you'd make breakfast. I need to know if you're a pancake guy or a waffle guy. It's important information. I laughed, the sound surprised and delighted. Pancakes. Definitely pancakes. Good answer. I can work with that. You're ridiculous. Yeah, he said, taking my hand and leading me back toward the bedroom. But I'm ridiculous in staying. That's got to count for something. It counts for everything, I assured him. We climbed back into bed together, and this time when he settled against me, there was no urgency, no desperation. Just comfort and warmth and the quiet promise of morning. Hey, he said into the darkness. Yeah, thank you for not letting me leave. I pressed a kiss to his temple. Thank you for not leaving. I'm still scared, he admitted. Me too. But I'm more scared of wondering what if. Of letting fear make my decisions. That's very wise. I have my moments. He was quiet for a bit, and I thought maybe he'd fallen asleep. Then, this is real, isn't it? I tightened my arms around him. Yeah, this is real. Good, he whispered. That's good. And as his breathing evened out and sleep claimed him, I lay there in the dark, holding someone who'd said this ain't real and stayed anyway. Because sometimes the bravest thing we can do is stay. To fight through the fear and the walls and the voice that says we don't deserve good things. Sometimes staying is everything. And in the morning, when sunlight streamed through my windows and I woke to find him still there, still real, still choosing this, choosing us, I knew. This was just the beginning. And it was going to be worth every terrifying, beautiful moment.